Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast, talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking our favorite comic book matchups and what's going on in the comic book industry today. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
Oh, Ken, welcome back.
Thank you, guys. It's glad to be back, dude. It's been a busy few weeks and just needed to, get some rest and try to get ready for the big push back at the store there.
Yeah, and what a week to own a comic shop. Like from what I understand, there are no new Marvel or DC books this week. Is that right?
Yeah, there's no new Marvel individual issue comics, and DC's doing a skip week because DC's first week without Diamond is going to be next week. So they pushed back the final order cutoffs 1 week from the last Diamond shipment. Mm-hmm. So stores would have a chance to get caught up and not miss a week by the transition from Diamond and DC. Interesting.
So we brought this up a few weeks ago when the news initially dropped, but you weren't here, and we wanted some of your insights. So one of the things we debated was like this new deal, it's just distribution, right? The printer hasn't changed.
No, the printer is still the same. Mm-hmm. It's now there is two separate distributors. They split the country in half. Mm-hmm. Things still in England, ironically, are still going through Diamond.
Oh, really?
Until the end of the year. So Diamond UK is still going to be distributing DC Comics, since there is no distributor that popped up in the UK in Europe to distribute Diamond Comics or DC Comics for that matter.
Wow.
And so this is purely a stateside transition for DC Comics at the moment. And it's they're divided up like UCS, which is owned by Midtown Comics, is distributing the Eastern 25 states. Oh. And Lunar, who is owned by Discount Comic Book Service, an online retailer, is distributing for the Western 25 states.
Interesting. And it's a 25-25 divide too?
Yes, which is pretty cool. I was kind of surprised on that. So it's like...
especially with like Texas sitting there. I mean, Texas is an ex-country, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Who gets Texas? Like that's, yeah. They would have to get more, you would think, if whoever gets that in their 25.
Yeah, you think like that with the East Coast too, there's like the higher concentration of populations in the East Coast as well.
Definitely.
And so Midtown's definitely taking on a heavier load, you would think, based off of how they're doing the divide.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Texas goes with the West Coast then, even though there's California.
Yeah, there was
Alaska too, right? I mean, Alaska's a big state as well.
And Hawaii, trying to get the shipping over Hawaii because this company's based out of Indiana. The one that does the Western states.
Serious? That's That's like an Eastern state.
Yeah. So DC Discount Comic Book Service, I guess, has been doing filling internet orders, kind of like they're almost a mini Diamond in the first place, because you couldn't order back issues from them. All it is new books, and to get the discounts they were offering, you had to have your orders in by a certain date, or else you missed out and you weren't guaranteed any of your books. Oh. And so it's kind of like a weird way of saying it. They were offering a system of people that don't have comic shops near them, an affordable way to try to get comics to their house. So it's kind of a natural fit for them. Midtown, I said too, Midtown's been doing their, I guess, online service for quite a while too as well. And they're already distributing subscriptions for Marvel Comics.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while, right?
Yes, and so I think that's what kind of put their foot into the ring too, as well as I don't know, I haven't heard, but I don't know if DC approached these companies or these companies approached DC, but they were looking for the most natural fit of people that really did high volume with internet sales.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Midtown is high volume. You know, like
yes.
And Lance, I mean, we've been to Midtown a few times. Like so they're big stores, you know.
Yeah, and even though the entrance is like the tiniest entrance you'll ever walk into.
It's really tiny.
I've never been there.
It's literally, you can barely walk through it just like yourself. And then there's people coming up and down the stairs and you're like, this is terrible. Cause it's literally just a stairwell that's like
It's super
5 feet
it's
wide,
super thin.
maybe.
And it,
Wow.
4 feet wide, maybe.
it goes up, right?
It goes up, yeah.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, it's just this. It's a little door, and it's just this narrow corridor. It goes up, and then you're in the comic shop. Like there's a lot of weird shop entrances in New York. Like trying to fit so much into, a small island like Manhattan. Like you have all these really weird entrance ways. I swear that little tunnel or whatever you want to call it, it's like a reoccurring nightmare. Like it's in my dreams. Like I didn't realize till now that it was Midtown Comics, but like I've had dreams about that corridor, and now I'm realizing like that was Midtown. So that's pretty crazy to think about. I love Midtown. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not hating on them.
Although that corridor has a lot of, when you're going up it, there's a lot of posters of Marvel stuff. So
was there? I don't know if I remember that.
I think they try to make it look,
a
little nicer than just this tiny little corridor that you're scared to walk up.
I mean, Ken, at your shop too, when you go up the stairs, like you have the posters too.
Yes,
I see it.
But there's way more room. There's like triple the amount of room to walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
So Midtown's corridor is smaller than the corridor that I have going up my stairs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, way smaller. Probably half.
Wow, that's interesting.
Half.
It's got to be like about half the size.
Or a third.
Because I've gone up in your shop, like I've gone up your stairs or down the stairs, and somebody else like fit. If it was Midtown, I would almost like just want to wait.
You have to stop and turn sideways to let somebody go, and they have to turn sideways to walk down the stairs.
How big is the square footage of the actual shop itself? Is it pretty big once you go up the stairwell, or no?
Yeah, it's a decent size.
It's a good size. I would say, I would venture to guess. I would say, and Lance, tell me if you think I'm off base. I would say downstairs to your shop, Ken, similar, but upstairs, maybe take your bottom stairs again and then put that upstairs.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow. So it's like 2 floors, almost the exact same amount of space.
I think so. Maybe more upstairs though, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
As you're going up the stairs, was it like a Witchblade statue or Laura Croft or something?
Laura.
And then, because like there's that area with at least like newer books or variant books or something like that. But then you can go back more. I would say at least 2 of your bottom floors, if I remember
pretty cool.
correctly.
I've always wanted to go to Midtown.
A little more stuffed.
Really? Wow. Yeah, because you could imagine the square footage. Isn't it got to be expensive for retail space in downtown Manhattan like that?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially for something that size. And you got to imagine it's the Marvel distribution that would really make that worth it.
I mean, they probably will pay what? Easy million?
I hesitate to. Oh, I mean, do they own?
I don't know.
Do they own it? Or are they renting?
No, they rent it. No, I mean, I don't know. Do they own it? I don't know.
If
they did, that would be insane. But
yeah, it's
that's the astronomical number.
Yeah, the heart of Manhattan. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be expensive. But I mean, hey, you're the big comic shop in Manhattan.
Yeah,
it's a destination. So that's interesting. So you really won't have any experience receiving your distributions until next week then, right?
Yes. The last Diamond shipment with DC shipped this past week.
Mm.
And last week, didn't Marvel have their Wednesday variants?
They're actually starting next Wednesday. Not
next
this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. They're starting the what? No, for the Marvel books. Yeah, Marvel's taking this week off where it's graphic novel shipping week, because what they were doing is they were doing a week of comics and a week of graphic novels.
What do you mean by Wednesday variants?
Marvel's doing these exclusive covers. That's what's it say on the back of the cover, Lance? Dude, it's like a still on sale on Wednesday or something like that.
You texted us that, right? I remember.
It's on sale hysterical. Wednesday, and it's for every Marvel comic. That's
hysterical. I guess really funny.
It's just a shot at DC for moving
everything to Tuesday.
Their comic books, to Tuesday.
Yeah, they're. Oh well, I don't want to get too much into DC. I don't want to. I'm trying to be on the good side of DC as much as I can right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're really trying hard to push their comic sales to the mass market medium. And they feel that Diamond really wasn't doing a good job getting them in front of new viewers or new readers. And that's what they're saying was what preempted this move to try to be more outreaching to new fans as much as they already have us as onboard fans.
I mean, the distributor's not your...
Really good job at that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
And DC was saying that Diamond was not doing as good of a job as they would hoped in that arena.
I mean, a distributor just has to mail it to the people who ordered it. Like, there's not up to them to provide advertising. I mean, you need to do that. Your social media person needs to do that. Your advertising agency needs to do that. I mean, they're not here to boost your sales. So like that just seems like a asinine expectation on DC's part. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, if your job is to distribute, as long as you're distributing and it's, you're fulfilling orders in a timely manner, you're doing a good job, making it easy.
I would also say how much of it is, per se Disney and DC, and how much of it is AT&T trying to do something different with the company to try to get around on the whole Disney Marvel thing, trying to change it up to make themselves above Marvel. Because you're kind of in the shadow.
Yeah, they've been. I think you're right on too, Lance. Like DC has been in Marvel's shadow now for about
10 years since Iron Man launched.
It's got to be roughly 10 years now.
Easily, because I would even say going back to the 90s when McFarlane and Liefeld and all those Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee just kind of blew up the comic market. DC never had any of those creators at that time. Wow. And Marvel became kind of iconic again. Do you know what I mean? Like that Spider-Man was more popular than ever. X-Men was more popular than ever. I mean, those two iconic Captain America was kind of on the lull end right then, but when Spider-Man and X-Men were breaking records of comics being sold, like, the X-Men broke Spider-Man's record, and actually X-Force beat Spider-Man's record, then X-Men beat X-Force's record, and they had the multiple covers, and it was just everything was about the McFarlane Spider-Man or the Jim Lee X-Men or the Rob Liefeld X-Force, and DC was just kind of like left trying to rebuild. What do we do with our characters to get those kind of attention? And then it even got worse when Image started, because then Image took all those creators, and then they were even more popular than DC Comics at that time, if you remember correctly. I mean, DC had to come up with killing Superman and breaking Batman's back as a way to try to get back into the marketplace. And ever since then, like, DC's been chasing the dog to try to catch up and get up with that lead dog. And it's just been one debacle after another. They got close when New 52 started because they relaunched everything at one time. And Jim Lee, luckily they had him in their pocket at that time, where Jeff Johns and Jim Lee said, hey, let's try to get some of these creators, almost like recreating what Marvel did back in the 90s with DC today.
And to be fair, I mean, that was the first time I was interested in a DC comic probably in a long time.
Yeah, they got the creators to match the characters, like the popularity of the characters. It's one thing DC's always had is brand recognition is the best way I could put it. I think they do such a better job of logoing their characters where you always recognize the logo and you can say, oh, that's a Green Lantern logo. Or, oh, that's the Superman logo. Oh, that's the Batman logo. Oh, that's the Wonder Woman logo. You don't even have to see the character. But if you see the logo, you know what it is.
I mean, and Flash too.
Yeah, Flash, Lightning Bolt too as well. And, like that, they did a really great job of like knowing the public knows who they are. They just stopped caring about the stories because they were too tropic. And, the Marvel creators really keep the characters fresh, where DC didn't really start doing that till New 52. And I hate saying this because, I don't want any disrespect to DC fans, but they kind of Marvelized their characters in a way with New 52 going forward. They were doing more stuff real life and not quite as, more grounded in cities that you recognize.
More relatable.
Right. Yeah, dude. Like, did you know that New 52 they're starting to do it in cities you knew, not like Coastal City or, Do you know what I mean? They would do things in California. They would do things in New York. It wouldn't just be in these fictional cities that DC made up all these years back.
Except for Gotham and stuff, right? Because I thought Gotham was still...
Yeah, Gotham's still Gotham, and Metropolis is still Metropolis. Yeah. But Gotham's technically like New York City. Or no, Gotham, what would Gotham be? Like, because Metropolis is New York City, right?
I always thought Gotham was like Chicago because of the crime.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was my interpretation of it. No offense, Chicago people. I mean, New York had crime too, but I mean, it's definitely not Chicago, at least how it is now.
And then when Marvel started climbing again after New 52 started slowing down, DC tried doing a rebirth. You know what I mean? And that didn't quite do as well as New 52 because even Marvel's got a little bit of that too. It's like relaunch. Oh my gosh, what's what I'm thinking of, dude? Like relaunch, like where you're fatigue. Sorry, like relaunch fatigue.
Yeah.
Like Marvel was going through that a few years ago too. It's like you can't keep on relaunching just to try to pull in new readers.
Right.
Because your regular readers get frustrated and they're like, what volume am I in? Like, what Miss Marvel's on 4 volumes and she's less than 10 years old already?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? As a character, and Miles Morales has had like 5 or 6 relaunches already.
Serious?
And yeah, dude, 10 years as a character himself.
Yeah, and it gets hard to follow, and
it
loses a little something when you do that. You know,
it almost.
I think there's a reason like Spider-Man went so far, and Iron Man had so many, like the original first volumes. Why do we have to now reboot every 3 years or 2 years? Okay, rebooting here. I mean, I understand sometimes things don't stick, but at the same time, just let it. I think sometimes they're not letting it go through its ups and downs. So I don't think a volume was going to be perfect. No volume was ever. Some volumes were boring. I'm not gonna lie. I've read some Iron Man comics and I'm like, I can't wait to get through this because it's not that interesting. But I mean, that is what it is. I think they just need to roll with the punches sometimes. I think
let's get to 600 again.
Trigger finger on rebooting it. And I don't know if they think it's because of the attention spans of people today and them reading or what the deal is.
I think absolutely it's something to do with that. Because I mean, like they just restart for, almost no reason, I mean, maybe this is a bad example, but they stopped Dr. Aphra, a few months ago and then just relaunched at #1 just a few months later with the intention that they were going to relaunch it. Why didn't they just continue the numbering system, from 50 or wherever they left off? I know there's a time jump, but I mean, who cares? I mean, can you just say that? Like,
or why not be unique and just make it 100 and then say you'll get back to eventually doing the middle comics. And then you just have like, you go from 50 to like 100 and then you're like, wait, what happened to the ones in between? And then like 10 years later, you go back and it's like this huge storyline. That would be really cool. Like concept for comic.
Interesting. Why not? I don't think I've seen that done.
No, I don't think I have either.
I mean, there was a Deadpool 1000.
Yeah. That became Deadpool team up or whatever afterwards, right?
Is that what happened? I'm sorry. That was a stupid comic.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Deadpool 900 came out, then they started counting backwards with Deadpool team up. Being 899, 898, right. 897.
That's right.
1000. Yeah, 1000 was a different one shot. You're right.
I mean, it works for movies,
Yes.
You had Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. Why not then go back and, similar anyway.
Yeah, you start with the middle, the outside.
Yeah.
Huh. Like, we're starting at 10. Like, what happened to 1 through 9? Like, we'll get there.
You're watching a character, you don't even know their origin story. You have no idea like who this person is or how they got their powers, and you're kind of get into them, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, she got it from like Mr. Sinister or something, like whatever.
They kind of did that with Wolverine in a weird way of saying that. They started with them being like fully mature, and
that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Then they eventually told the origin, and they just finished doing Old Man Logan and Dead Man Logan.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have a full circle Wolverine story, and they could just leave it at that. But obviously Wolverine's so popular, you're going to maintain him in the regular storytelling. But it's kind of cool how they did that Darth Vader thing with Wolverine in an opposite way.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I never thought about it like that.
And of course, Wolverine, his first appearance is that like iconic
Oh,
cover.
181, right?
Hulk 181 fighting the Hulk. What a great, awesome fight that was.
Yeah, dude. Talk about the timing of a great looking cover for the 70s with the reds and the yellows just so popping. At that time, it was kind of almost ahead of its time when it came to color schemes for comic covers.
Definitely.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, that's a fight I'd like to see on screen. Hopefully soon before they do something with Hulk or take a break from him for a while. We've got Wolverine and Hulk in the same universe. Let's do this.
Yes.
They haven't. I feel like they haven't touched in the movies on Hulk's like healing factor much.
Oh yeah, you're right, dude. I mean, just the fact that
like part of that fight wasn't he get stabbed and then kind of like. I mean, I know he's not insane like Wolverine, but he still has a healing factor that I feel like they've never talked about.
Yeah, not really at all.
I think they might have a little bit in the Edward Norton movie. At least saw some of it. I think I could be wrong, but yeah, they weren't very explicit about it for sure. But
I have heard an interesting rumor. Speaking of Wolverine, I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, but have you seen these rumors flying around that there's talking about bringing Alpha Flight into the MCU?
I only saw a silly little Instagram post about it. Nothing that was like, oh, this is a reliable source. But okay. I mean, gosh, I hope that's true. I know we've talked about it before. Like that's a great jumping off point for that section of mutant lore, with Department H, Weapon X, Wolverine. Like what a great starting place.
Exactly. It's something you could more or less bring Wolverine into the Marvel Universe without using the X-Men until when you want to use them as part of the universe there.
I think that would be fresh.
And I think you could have faith in Marvel actually being able to pull it off because they've done things like Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, and they've actually made them movies that you didn't think were going to be movies, and now we're going to have 3 of each of them. Doctor Strange being a great movie. Not saying that Doctor Strange couldn't have been good, but just characters that are big risks, huge risks, actually, with Guardians and Ant-Man, and they were actually successes.
Particularly Ant-Man.
Yes.
Particularly Ant-Man. I didn't think Ant-Man was going to be interesting at all, but the footage, like how they just shot it, is what really I think helped sell it. Like I love the whole like tiny little Ant-Man even like running in a tub is like, wow, this is kind of like amazing to see. They did a really good job with that. But yeah, Alpha Flight, I think they can nail it.
That's a knock on wood, hope that it's coming, because people are speculating online where people are now starting to pay like higher dollars for Alpha Flight #1 and X-Men 121. And surprised it hasn't hit X-Men 109 yet, because that's the first appearance of Weapon Alpha and the first ever mention of Alpha Flight. Because at the end he says, "Oh, I got to come back with Alpha Flight," and it's something to the fact of where it all starts with X-Men 109, but right now 121 is getting the most attention because it's the most popular first Alpha Flight book. So they're on the cover fighting the X-Men. It's the white, fighting in the snow in Canada, which looks really freaking awesome. And 120 is just a little cameo, a couple pages, kind of like the Hulk 180 versus Hulk 181 type of thing of Alpha Flight.
Nice.
And, it's kind of fun to see Alpha Flight buzz. I know it's me being a homer. It's kind of like gotta love anytime there's Alpha Flight attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's something fresh. It'd be a good approach. Start with the X-Men, with the regular, first class X-Men, and take your time, because like you've done so much Avengers stuff, over the years. Like that's what's going to keep the Marvel universe fresh. Because you got these new Avengers coming in. Like you need Spider-Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four, and the mutants, and there's so much you can do with, between X-Men, X-Force, Alpha Flight, gosh, and there's all this room for, major events, maybe not in the scale of Infinity War, but maybe like Civil War,
yes.
with a, let's see a proper Dark Phoenix, like Apocalypse is a huge threat,
Yes.
Onslaught. How about an Onslaught movie?
Dude,
Like that would be really cool.
Yes, dude. It's like the only thing that I'm nervous about with anything with Alpha Flight is that one of my employees said, "Watch, they're going to do the Captain Marvel Alpha Flight base, and not even have the members of the team. It's just going to be their Alpha Flight space base that more or less sets up whatever's coming next with the Skrulls or something like that, like what they're doing in Marvel right now."
Oh gosh, I hope not. You know,
so there's like fucking Sasquatch running the base.
I would venture to argue that it's very possible that it could be coming. And it's slightly unrelated, but I think, Marvel makes everything kind of related to each other, especially in the movies. In the Black Widow movie, we have Red Guardian.
Oh, yes.
Right. And if you especially look at his suit and the time periods that we know are kind of happening here, you can almost look at that as, Russia's like, oh, we need a Captain America. Right. And I understand that's pretty much the concept anyway. But I mean, Canada's going to be wanting to do something, like Canada's going to want, like, I want a Captain America. And maybe that could be the reason for, creating Vindicator, Alpha Flight, or we need an Avengers.
Which is also probably also would tie in more to including Thunderbolt Ross, because, he's all obviously in the Hulk movie, with Edward Norton, his whole thing was trying to get the Super Soldier Serum, right? And he was trying to replicate it. And then you had him continue in all these other Avengers movies to have like little bits and pieces and parts. It wouldn't be crazy for him to be a part of that. And, maybe we get also a Red Hulk inclusion out of that too, with all those.
It should be the Thunderbolts first in theory, right? I mean, like that's got to be like one of the easiest setups now.
Which is a huge rumor that was going around also, is that they're going to be doing Thunderbolts.
I would love that. I mean,
which I bought first appearances of because of it. Yeah. Yes, I did.
That's really cool. I hope they do their original team, but
the original team is cool.
I would doubt that they would take it that way. I have a feeling they would do, I don't know, a different incarnation, kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like one of the more modern Thunderbolts. I don't know if that's like, Punisher, Elektra, Deadpool, or maybe something with what was it? There was a team with wasn't Pixie one of the Thunderbolts, and like Goliath, something like that.
Songbird.
That's
Songbird.
That's the team I'm thinking of.
Like Baron Zemo was Citizen B, right?
Yeah.
And that the Atlas, was he the one that was the giant man? They call him.
Yep.
Correctly.
So maybe we'll see something like that.
Yes, and then there's also the Norman Osborn Thunderbolts too.
They also had because what's his name? Winter Soldier was on that team too.
Yes, he was
Ghost Rider.
Wow.
Dude, yeah, they had some pretty Thunderbolts teams that they could really even almost do like a TV series for Thunderbolts and have like each season kind of evolve in to what it's become now. Like, the first season is the bad guys becoming the good guys. Then all of a sudden, the second season is during Civil War where Norman Osborn takes over the government.
Interesting.
The government takes over the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
It keeps on evolving into then General Ross gets control of the Thunderbolts, and it's just kind of like evolution into wherever they want to go with it each season until what they're, matching doing now.
And Red Hulk's, part of the Thunderbolts too. So you can make it, that's how he gets his powers. And
yes.
I really want to have Hulk fight the leader at least before we move on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they just brought the leader back into the Immortal Hulk storyline too, and it's kind of cool. I didn't know that much about the leader, so he might be on
a sign. They set it up in the Edward Norton Hulk. Like that's the probably the one setup that we've had forever that has never amounted to anything. Like he just defeats Abomination. What's his face? Gets the stuff dripping on his head, and his head starts to grow, and we never see him become the leader. That's never dealt with. I mean, let's do it.
Well, how would the rights work though for the leader? Is it because he's in a film, they now get the exclusivity of him being in a film?
The problem with the solo Hulk movies is Universal has distribution rights to Hulk titled films. So
Right.
So that's why they've been able to use him in Avengers and whatever.
So they would still be able to use the leader. He just couldn't be a Hulk movie. Wouldn't matter.
Yes, but maybe they could do it in a She-Hulk Disney Plus show.
Yeah, I could see that. And it won't even be a fist fight. It's just going to be she's a lawyer and he ends up like not needing a lawyer, and it's just a big fight between lawyers because he's so smart. He's like, I'm going to represent myself, and that's all it's going to be.
That'd be epic. Yeah, I'd say too. The leader's one of those characters that I think they do need to bring into the story. That would be. I love your idea too of like that. I don't need no attorney. I'm the leader of attorneys.
It's really funny.
He gets it in a purple suit, still green, just to try to mock the Hulk family. It's like I make purple even look better than you do.
No case. Really.
That'd be awesome.
All right, so I mean, we've kind of already touched on some superhero battles already.
And just the Hulk and the leader is a perfect lead into it there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a fight, that we need, in the MCU. But what are some of your favorite comic book battles or matchups that you just like you see that fight, you see that back issue, and that's the one that you just enjoy seeing over and over again. Get your juices flowing. If you will.
I have one that's kind of a general. I'm gonna start off with my general, I guess.
Okay.
So someone who I love to see fight, but there was one specific fight that was just kind of awesome. It wasn't long, but it was cool. Is like I love it whenever Black Bolt fights anybody or anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Because all he has to do is just speak, and it's like, oh, it's going down. He's opening his mouth, and that's all it is. But it's amazing. But when he fights, I don't remember what comic it was. It was in a more recent comic. It was when Thanos was looking for his son.
Oh, I just read that scene the other day. Somebody posted the panels, and he's sitting on the throne of Adelan, and Thanos shows up and is like, "Where is he?" And then and
he's just like, "No," and then he just blows him away. But I love Black Bolt. He's probably like my second favorite male character in MCU.
Wow.
I mean, in the Marvel universe. But when Thanos gets obliterated by him, and then just gets up and just walks at him, and he's yelling at him, and he just grabs his face while he's screaming, and you just see it just like going between his, like him trying to scream going between his fingers, and then he just slams him to the ground. It's like, oh my gosh, he's just like, he is on such a hunt. It was such a great scene.
Yeah, Thanos was not having it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And for those of you not familiar with Black Bolt for some reason, I mean, Black Bolt's whisper can level mountains. So him screaming is just ridiculously powerful.
I love him. I love his character. I love his design. He's such an awesome character. I
like him because of Medusa. Because I mean, how do you go? Like, Medusa's a redhead with this hair that's alive, and it's literally down to her feet. She has such a cool aesthetic. I love Medusa. I agree with you. Black Bolt's underrated character.
That's the only thing the MCU universe destroyed was Medusa by having her shave her head inside of that Inhumans TV series.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take away the most magical thing about a character, and I think that's why Inhumans kind of failed inside of
absolutely
the MCU universe, is they tried altering something so drastically for the first time that was I guess they must have learned right there. It's like, dude, yeah, we don't want to alter this stuff that works for a reason. And Inhumans is that learning experience, unfortunately.
Hopefully they'll reboot it and fix it.
And luckily that was Marvel TV who was fighting with the Marvel Studios anyway. So, you can make the argument that, Marvel Studios never ruined Inhumans.
That's true. So
we never, we'll see. But that's one thing that does need to be rebooted. Rebooted. That was beyond bad.
Because those characters are so strong. I said too, one of my favorite stories was Inhumans versus X-Men.
Yes.
Over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know as much about the Inhumans, but I feel like the Inhumans were kind of the equivalent of the X-Men when Fox was screwing up the X-Men. They made the Inhumans center stage.
Yep.
And it worked. And it was really fun to see that final battle of like more or less the mist was impacting the mutants, the Terrigen mist.
Yeah.
And so it kind of had to become like that. Hey, we've come up with a solution here. And it was, I thought it was a brilliant storyline they did with Inhumans versus X-Men as a way to put that ultimate spotlight on the Inhumans of like that, hey, we're just as equal to the X-Men, if not more powerful than the X-Men.
Right.
It was something that was really, really kind of a cool way to bring what was supposedly B-list or Marvel characters to the A-list and make it work for them. As I said too, is like that. I kind of want to see them do more with Inhumans, but now since the X-Men are back in Marvel Universe, they're trying to do center stage on them. They kind of put the Inhumans on the back burner again, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully with Fantastic Four coming up, there will still be opportunity to, have that. Because, I mean, Fantastic Four, quite frankly, is boring without Inhumans and Galactus and Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer. Like, that's the good stuff right there.
And as much as I don't care for the character, Kamala Khan, she's an Inhuman. And if they want her to be significant, which it seems like they're pushing for her because she is popular, they're pushing for her to be into, hopefully soon, a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. You got to have her as an Inhuman. So you're going to have to do something with it.
Yeah,
right.
You're absolutely right.
That's the good thing.
And hopefully that means reboot. You can use whatever excuse you want. Let's just pretend that TV show never happened.
Yep. No, it got snapped.
Exactly.
They came back and everything's different now.
Yes.
Yep. 100% agree. One battle that I always love to see, and it's happened at least a few times in comics now. It's Wolverine versus Deadpool.
Nice.
Because, I mean, how do you get wrong with two people who just regenerate, just going at each other? I mean, that's part of the appeal of him fighting Hulk, right? Especially in it was an older Deadpool comic. It's a really cool cover. It's only like a few colors. I think it's all black and red with like a blue background, and Deadpool is standing with his two swords up in the air, and Wolverine is impaled on his katanas, above him with his back arched. Gosh, I have to look that up.
Yeah, it's a Wolverine book. I remember it's from the first.
Wolverine, that's right. Yes.
I want to say it's Wolverine 88, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're.
I know it's all between 88 and 95, but I'm thinking 88 for some reason, but it may be 92 because 95 I think is the Alpha Flight appearance. That's why I got 95 in my head. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue where Guardians tackling Wolverine in the air of Wolverine.
88, you got it.
88? Okay, wow. My brain is getting stronger. I got to get, it's like I got to get more rest more often, I guess.
Yeah, it's a super cool cover. I mean, tattoo worthy. It's a cool battle. I mean, it's even better of a battle than the fight. What was that?
It's an Adam Kubert cover, if I remember right.
I do see an A. I'm imagining that is correct.
That is a fun book, though.
Yeah,
that is my favorite
artist, Adam Kubert. There you are. But it's a lot better of a battle than in the Deadpool 97-98 series, because in that fight, he's having problems with his healing factor, and he's trying to get Wolverine to fight him, and Wolverine doesn't want to do it. I don't know if he's hanging out with Kitty Pryde, but like Deadpool just keeps bugging him and bugging him and bugging him, and then I think he just gets so fed up he like stabs Deadpool through the head or something, and he finally has like the epiphany he's looking for. It's kind of weird, it's kind of an anticlimactic, kind of fight. But I mean, you can't get wrong with two people just going at it who like pretty much can't die, I mean, that's
awesome.
That's some of the best stuff. Well, what about you, Ken? What's first on your list?
Wow, dude, it's kind of been overdone, but I used to love the old Spider-Man versus Green Goblin rivalry until he died in 122. I mean, I think those are some of the best, more or less. Oh gosh, dude, it's like rivalries that before it got overused and overdone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole fact of where Norman Osborn kind of looked up more to Peter Parker being a better son than Harry Osborn type of thing. That, you know, then all of a sudden, like, just finding out that Spider-Man was Peter Parker and trying to convert him over to being, do you know what I mean? More or less in his way of thinking, rather than just thinking like that. You're totally misguided, and whole thing of him just like kidnapping his girlfriend to try to like force him to choose. Do you know what I mean? Like, almost turn him down the dark path as much as he possibly could, and leading Peter finally to that darkest path where they had that really aggressive battle.
Yeah.
Where, you know what I mean? Osborn was beat by Spider-Man. He almost like walked away, and then like trying to use the glider to impale Spider-Man, and Spider-Man jumps out of the way with Spider Sense, and Osborn ends up being the end of his own fate. You know, his own meeting his own maker on his own turn, his turn, not terms, but on his
own devices.
Yeah, his own doing. Yeah. That was, to me, it was like, wow, dude, talk about like an epic storytell of two rivals that are connected by one person, which was Harry Osborn. And it was just really kind of a different look at hero versus villain storytelling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If they both have the similar bond, which was Harry Osborn, Peter looking out for, you know, his best friend, and then Norman looking out for his son's best friend's way of like wanting that bond. And it was just, it was an interesting rivalry that I don't see very often well done the same way that they did that with Peter Parker and Norman Osborn.
You know, and going over that again, you know, it kind of reminds you, you know, what a good job the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie did with that, not only relationship, but the whole scene at the end. Like, that's exactly what happened. Like, the glider comes, he flips out of the way, and he accidentally impales himself. You know, like, the only thing you're missing is him killing Gwen Stacy, you know, right before that, right? Even though I think he does toss Mary Jane off, they just don't kill her. And it wasn't until the reboot that they, with Garfield, that they killed Gwen Stacy. Although when they did finally do that, like, that was well done.
Oh,
like
oh my gosh, I cried.
I did too. I knew it was coming. I was like,
gosh.
oh my gosh, it's happening. Like you can't help it. And Andrew Garfield did a great job with that performance. My goodness. Yeah. Like, I know it was just done, but I would love to see an MCU Green Goblin fight Tom Holland. You know, like, I'm not sure if we're going to get it at this point, but like, I would love to get that.
I think MCU Spider-Man's been through enough. They can push that back.
Why can't we kill this Michelle MJ? You know, let's give her Gwen Stacy's death.
You already snapped half the universe. You killed Spider-Man. You killed Iron. Like, you already did too much to this poor boy.
Why? We just
let him have a couple.
Thor watched his mom die, then he watched his dad die, then he watched his brother die, he watched his
Thor's been alive for thousands of years.
But this all happened. Okay. This was a crappy 20 years that this all happened.
Peter Parker hasn't been around for 20 years.
Yes, yeah, that's true. But I mean, he had to deal with Tony Stark dying, Uncle Ben. So now
he's been through some stuff.
So now we have.
He doesn't have his parents.
Yeah.
So you don't need to kill. That's just a lot.
I'm ready for it. Let's do this, Marvel. Let's kill his girlfriend. But I do want to see Green Goblin, regardless.
Yeah, that would be good. So my next one is one I think I've definitely mentioned before. But I love the fight because it was also a really fun to read comic series that I read recently, which was Avengers versus X-Men.
Yes.
And the fight where Namor has the Phoenix Force and the Avengers come after him is amazing. Like, he's literally he's just standing there by himself, and literally Thor, Vision, Red Hulk, Thing, Valkyrie, everyone just jumps on him and like starts whacking him. And then Namor's literally on the ground, and Red Hulk goes to grab him, and he says, "Don't touch me." And he just grabs his hand and turns his wrist and snaps Red Hulk's forearm in half. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, he just literally just grabbed him by the pinky and snapped his forearm in half. And it's just such a great scene that you're like, wow, this guy has so much power. And he's just, you know, how Namor is. He's just like, don't dishonor me or whatever, and he just starts going crazy. But that was a great fight, and that whole series is just a fun read.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've read that part of it. I have most of the Avengers versus X-Men. I don't think I got to that point. But I mean, Namor fighting anyone is always cool. You know, that's what.
Yeah.
Like I said, helps make the Fantastic Four interesting. You know,
and you had the Phoenix Force, which made it even cooler. Part of the Phoenix Force, I should.
Yeah, absolutely. Some character that's always fun for me to see pop up in random places is Ghost Rider.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and lump them together with Venom. Do it kind of two for here. Like Venom and Ghost Rider, like they're fun characters on their own, but they're also fun like just when they pop up in other books too. Especially Ghost Rider using the Penistare, like how that factors into whatever's going on. Especially when he fights Venom. I have a comic book where he's fighting Venom, and I don't know whose book that is. I don't know if it's a Venom book. It's not a Ghost Rider book, or possibly a Daredevil book, which kind of sounds weird. But anyway, they end up fighting, and Ghost Rider goes to use the penance stare on Venom, and the symbiote's not having it. The symbiote just retracts from Eddie Brock's face, and he's like, nope. And the symbiote's just going to let it happen to Eddie Brock. Like the symbiote was just not having it. So, I mean, for like the symbiote to kind of like cower in fear, of the Ghost Rider it was such a cool moment,
That's cool.
It's kind of messed up.
It is messed up, but I mean, that's also kind of made it cool.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Is that during part of that Spirits of Vengeance storyline or anything?
Yeah, that sounds right, because I do have a bunch of Spirits of Vengeance comics.
Some pretty epic stuff.
Yeah. What do you got next, Ken?
Man, dude, there's so many to think about. I kind of, let's see. It's kind of they tweaked it a little bit for Wolverine Origin, but I really like the rivalry between Wolverine and Dog, the half brother. Did you ever read Wolverine Origin? Because it was supposed to be what the Origins movie turned into Sabretooth.
Yeah.
It was actually his half brother, Dog, in the original Wolverine Origin comic. And it was more or less the story where Wolverine's father was the caretaker down the hill who had an affair with Wolverine's mom.
Yep.
And Dog was the other child of Wolverine's father who had to live down the hill and more or less be the hardworking, everything kind of more or less was given to Wolverine, James Howlett. And Dog was kind of just more or less hated his little brother type of thing. Yeah. And the rivalry started there, which was laying the groundwork for Sabretooth, because that kid was a blonde-haired kid that looked a little bit like Sabretooth and was always, he was like rabid like a dog for trying to, take out his little brother that they found out as the story went was, his older half-brother of the illegitimate father that you find out like when the battle happens with who he thinks is his real father and the father that's revealed by the groundskeeper comes up tells the wife like, when are you gonna tell him? I'm tired of like hiding this. Mm-hmm. And Wolverine plops his claws for the first time as his two dads were more or less having the fight over his mom.
Yeah, and they did a great job in that movie. Like they did that almost similar. Verbatim. Very similar. Yeah.
And except there was no Sabretooth in that story originally. They just kind of forced Sabretooth into the story. But it does kind of like lay the groundwork inside of Wolverine's origin as like why he hates that Sabretooth personality, because it goes back to his childhood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can almost you can all see like why they made that change though,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Somebody knows Sabretooth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it makes it kind of a cooler story making it Sabretooth the whole way through.
Totally.
It's a really fun rivalry to see like that that Wolverine origin story set up so many of the personality traits of Wolverine. That being one of them was, the brotherly, the one brother that was supposedly dead, and they showed him come back in Wolverine the end, that he never died. But the one with him and Dog was kind of like a cool natural relationship. Him constantly trying to hunt down Wolverine.
Yep.
And it's making Wolverine have to retreat at the end into the woods, and it was to me a magical story that kind of started the first rivalry with Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I see a lot of Wolverine, in these selections here.
I have a couple more, but they have similar. There's the same character.
Okay, is Wolverine?
No, it's just I have two that are going to be the same. So one is. It's more so about the comic cover than anything else. It's iconic, and I think it's like if you want a fighting cover, like comic cover, this is like the to me like the best one maybe ever, and that's Silver Surfer #4 when he's fighting Thor.
Oh,
Silver Surfer coming down on his surfboard, ready to hit him, and Thor's just holding his hammer back, ready to smack her. It's just a beautiful, and they're on the Rainbow Bridge. Asgard's in the background. It's such a beautiful cover.
Yep.
I think that is like an iconic scene.
Yeah.
But for a specific Thor fight in the comics, when he's fighting Galactus, and Galactus is like Galactus is starting to he's hungry, so he's a little probably weak at the time, but Thor goes and hits him, and then Galactus turns and he's like, for the first time in a millennium, my limbs have tasted pain. After Thor hits him, and it's just kind of like it kind of puts Thor on like the map. You know what I mean? Like that, just that moment right there. It's just like, wow, this guy hit Galactus, and that's the first time Galactus says he's felt pain in a millennium. Like that's just crazy,
Wow.
Yes.
Like what a great. To me, that's just a great scene.
Mm-hmm. Is that the recent encounter, or are you talking about a previous one?
No, that's like back way.
Okay.
I think I want to say. I think that might have been the first time Thor sees Galactus.
It's like in the Thor's like 160s, like 166 to 168 or something like that.
Something like that.
160 issues.
Thor actually like wins the fight, I think, technically. But I know it's like Thor's hungry and he's like, Thor's hungry. Galactus is hungry. Thor hungry. But yeah, that was just what a great little fight that is.
Absolutely.
Just a cool moment, I should say.
Yeah. Galactus is another one I'm really excited to see brought to the MCU, and I hope it's not a one-off thing. Like, it's always fun when Galactus pops up, something interesting is going to happen.
Yeah.
So my next one is it's not quite as epic or cosmic. It's very street level, and I like both of these characters. I'm not a huge fan of either of them, and I don't necessarily collect them. But when Daredevil and Punisher fight, it's always a good time. Like that is, I don't know what about it is just so much fun, so appealing. I don't know if it's because like they're on the same side of the coin, but yet they still argue about the method, or the ends to the means, or whatever. But they go at it, and just something about, cause like they don't have powers, Daredevil does a little bit, but it's more of a real human fight,
Right.
And they both try to be so tough, especially, Frank Castle, but Daredevil doesn't have that military training. So, he got it, his discipline, through other means.
Well, his dad was a fighter.
It's true. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yes, it's boxing and stuff, right? But that was one thing that I was so glad Netflix did, because it was just a Daredevil show, and like they brought Punisher in just to have that fight because their fights are so good.
That's what I was going to mention. Like, out of like all the MCU or Marvel anything, those fights might have been the best as far as like bringing the comic feel to the screen.
Yep.
The Daredevil Punisher was just like, man, you didn't know who to root for.
Yeah. But they still definitely like respected each other, but they would kill each other, or not, maybe not kill each other, because, maybe Punisher would kill Daredevil, but Daredevil wouldn't necessarily kill the Punisher. But off the top of my head, like I remember clearly, I think it's Punisher pulls a knife and he's trying to stab him. And then he goes to stab his head, and Daredevil grabs it with his hands, kind of like a clap, and he holds the knife, and it's like right near his face. And, Punisher can't move it. So what Punisher does is he twists the knife to the left and then pulls it out, and he slices his hand right open. Yeah. And then Daredevil, not to be outdone by this, he decides to not flinch. And he's just sitting there, and he's trying not to react to it. His hand's just bleeding from that. Like, there's so many cool little things like that, And speaking of the Netflix show, when Punisher has him tied to the chimney, it's right out of the comics. That scene in the comics, like they were going after the same person. Punisher just wanted to kill the guy, the mob guy, or whatever it was. And Daredevil wanted to, I think, like take him to court or, get him in jail. Like, no, he's just going to get out. Like, we need to kill him. Like, he ends up in the comics, like somehow knocking out Daredevil or whatever, and able to tie him to the chimney. Did the Netflix show do this? I don't remember, but Punisher ends up taping a gun to Daredevil's hand. It's like, okay, the only way you're going to stop me from killing this guy is you have to shoot me. And like,
I think they did do that, right?
They did do that?
I think so, no?
I want to say they did. I'm just not 100% sure. But like, that's all right out of the comics. And like, Daredevil has to sit there and think whether or not he can kill the Punisher. And like, he's like fighting with himself on the inside. And I think he ends up pulling the trigger, but Punisher ended up not loading the gun. I don't know if he was trying to prove a point or something, but such good stuff.
And then, of course, there's always the comic cover of Punisher shooting through Daredevil. That's iconic.
The blue background, right? Daredevil 183. I love that cover too. Yeah.
He's just like this, and Daredevil's like, what a great cover. Then, what about you, Ken? What do you got?
Gosh, dude, it's like there's so many going through my head now. Like I want to say Batman and Hush, but the main orchestrator behind that was the Riddler. And that's the first time that they really, I think, made Riddler the major outthinker of Batman. Because Batman could always solve every single one of Riddler's riddles, except this one. At the end, the Riddler felt like he got over on him. But Thomas Elliot, who was Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, once again, I'm going all this, like, I guess I got a theme going today. Childhoods of Harry Norman Osborn. That's obviously funny. The childhood of Wolverine, and now I'm going on to the childhood of Bruce Wayne's best friend disappearing after they grew up. And then all of a sudden he pops up on the scene as a doctor who saves Bruce Wayne's life. And it kind of rekindled the friendship that Bruce Wayne doesn't really have any friends, but then his childhood friend shows up, and it's all of a sudden like Bruce Wayne, every chance he has at being happy in some ways, a normal person just gets taken away from him by the time the story's over. But this character named Hush was more or less messing with Batman, trying to get him to guess who Hush really was. I mean, there were so many red herrings to the whole story. And in fact, halfway through the story, Thomas Elliot, I'm sure as you all know, was Hush, was killed by the Joker halfway through the story. And you were kind of saying like that halfway through the story. It's like, how can that happen? Because Thomas Elliot's Hush. It's so obvious. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the story is like you're trying to figure out who Hush is. And Jeff Loeb, the writer of it, at the end, more or less revealed that Clayface was the one that was shot by the Joker to kind of throw off the path of Bruce Wayne. Thought he was getting so close. And at the end of the story, it was more or less the Riddler who halfway through the story again was robbing a bank and trying to do a getaway. And Batman stops him and he goes, man, of all the people that this is not going to be, it's not going to be the Riddler. This guy's just so lowbrow criminal. It was like Batman was disrespecting the Riddler. Then at the end of the story, it turns out that the Riddler actually was the person that helped Thomas Elliot orchestrate it all together. And
interesting.
It was a really cool story because it made two better rivals for Batman. One, Hush, who became one of his best rivals, and it put Riddler back on the map as like, damn, this guy can really pull a fast one over on Bruce, but he's got to think hard about it.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun story.
That's one way to evolve a character that's like you're like, you don't really have much, you're not that powerful, whatever. And then all of a sudden, you kind of flip it on its head.
Yeah, because like, who respects Riddler? All he does is tell riddles the whole time. And then Batman figures it out and he stops him. This one was like, whoa, dude.
Knock, knock.
Exactly.
Yeah, if we ever get Riddler again, hopefully it's not like some Jim Carrey kind of silly, whatever. I mean, which was fine for the time, but I mean, comic book movies are past that now.
Yeah, everything that back then was campy.
Yeah,
I felt like that movie ruined Tommy Lee Jones' career because he was like absorbing the energy off of Jim Carrey, and like Two-Face is supposed to be more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But in that movie, it was like, oh my gosh, dude! It was like, did he give him Joker gas or something to Two-Face there? Yeah. What was going on there?
Yeah, that's a shame because good casting too.
Yeah, because he would have been an awesome Two-Face, just being Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, but absorbing that infectious personality of Jim Carrey, I think, kind of really hurt Tommy Lee Jones in that movie.
I mean, it was all the directing anyway. If you had a director paying attention to that, I mean, rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. But I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, I didn't think Tommy Lee, DC and Marvel. I didn't think that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that till just now.
Later on, he went on. Maybe that's why he, took that small role in Captain America: The First Avenger.
And he did a great job.
Yeah, just to get that taste out of his mouth.
So I have one more. I don't know if you guys have any more, but I have one more.
Okay. Yeah.
Do we have time for one more? We good?
Yeah, we have time for one more.
So mine's it's gonna be short and sweet. It's just a character that I love watching whenever there's a fight going on, who I just love, like, little things. Because sometimes it's not just, I know I mentioned Galactus and Thanos versus Black Bolt. This is like way, way toned down. And it's just like whenever Black Cat is in a fight with anybody, it's just awesome because just the like luck thing is just, it's kind of entertaining because you see like somebody who's, obviously like a little more powerful than her comes out and goes to hit her or whatever. And they just slip and fall and building falls on them or whatever. And it's just like, that's awesome. Like you can't beat that. There's nothing. It's just, what are the chances,
Yeah.
And I think for me as someone who always like, whenever I'm anywhere, I'm thinking like, what could possibly go wrong wherever I am? And it's probably terrible and it's a paranoia, but
yeah, that sounds like paranoia.
Yeah, I know. But it's kind of cool to see it like in a comics, like there's like all these dumb things that happen to like these powerful like superheroes or supervillains or whatever. And like, especially when she's with, but when she's with Black Suit Spider-Man and they're going off and fighting, there's so many times where they get away just because she's just lucky. It's great. It's just awesome.
That's pretty funny.
I love her bad luck powers. Those are so.
Yeah, they're like OP.
Any other honorable mentions here before we wrap this up?
I've always been a big fan of Spider-Man and Kraven. Speaking of the black costume, that was by far, I think, one of the deepest death stories of a villain. Sounds weird, but taking his own life because he accomplished everything that he felt like he could accomplish. Of like the one thing he couldn't do, he finally did. And then at the end, he did something else that Spider-Man could never do. And then felt like this is my swan song. I have nothing else to accomplish. I've hunted and accomplished everything. And I've even finally defeated my one prey that I could never beat. And I defeated a prey that he never beat. And so it was just the whole story of Mike Zeck's artwork all the way through, the guy that drew that Punisher miniseries, obviously, and drew Secret Wars, which was the first appearance or the origin of the black suit. So everything was like just so full circle in that storyline of J.M. DeMetis' Kraven's Last Hunt, of just like, it's Kraven shooting Spider-Man with a tranquilizer dart, burying him, and eating the spiders and putting on the costume himself and going out into New York City, and almost like a predestination of Venom type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like an evil Spider-Man that was like not Peter Parker. And it was just everything about it was freaking epic and very, very fun story to read.
Absolutely. And I know we always come back to Kraven's Last Hunt, but man, like if any of Spider-Man's villains deserve their own movie aside from Venom, because Venom, like forget Morbius. Like I don't want to see a Morbius movie. I don't care about a Morbius movie, and we don't need a Morbius movie. But Kraven would absolutely be a fantastic thing, and it might be looked at as a risk, but that storyline would be a perfect Spider-Man spin-off movie. And it would just be great. And you know what? And I think we've talked about this in depth before, but like you Quentin Tarantino, the ending, you have Spider-Man coming out of the grave in the beginning of the movie as a flash forward, just so you can let the audience know, like, hey, we're going to kill Spider-Man this, but he's not dead. You know, like he's not going to die. So that way you don't get people mad. Like you start with him coming out of the grave and then start the movie over, you know, like start the movie like that. Like it could be really cinematic too. Huh? Yeah.
Like it starts with now, then earlier.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, like that's the best way to do it. And it would be such a great way to start a movie. Like if the first scene is like Spider-Man popping out of a grave and it's raining and he's in this black suit, you know, like it can be cinematically appealing. Like there's so many good things that can happen. We need a Kraven's Last Hunt movie for sure.
Yeah. And that's such a good, it'd be a good movie just as far as a movie, like just a movie goes. It's not just like an MCU. It'd be a great movie. Yeah. Like talking about like
emotional,
if you get a good actor for Kraven, you could win an award for that movie.
100%. You know, love to see like Jason Momoa or something like really tackle that. You know,
or what's his name from Walking Dead? I can see him doing it.
Oh, are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Oh, Abraham? The guy who plays Abraham.
No. He's talking about Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays Negan.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean.
The comedian guy. The guy who played the comedian.
Awesome. It's Kraven.
Yeah, I mean, look at his performance as the comedian. Like when he's sitting there, I think it's right before he gets killed, and he's crying. Like he would be perfect for Kraven.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got chills. Look, my hair is there. My arm is standing up.
Yeah, that's the number one movie I'd like to see before the lifetime's over, dude. Is Kraven's Last Hunt would be an unbelievable Spider-Man movie. Yes. And if you even want to mix in Chameleon too, because Chameleon's his brother, Kravenov's brother.
Yeah.
And Dmitry Kravenov, isn't that Chameleon?
He's already in the MCU.
Yeah.
Well,
he's already in the MCU, isn't he?
Dimitri.
They haven't confirmed if that's Chameleon or not.
Okay, because that would be awesome. Like, to have that little connection too, like where Chameleon kind of sets up Spider-Man getting in the crosshairs of Kraven.
Yeah.
I think Kraven's such a good hunter, you don't even need to do that. I mean, because he's got so much pride. I don't need any help trying to hunt this guy down, but he's been defeated so many times for the comic story to work. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like Kraven had to do something on his own to prove that, like, this is my life accomplishment.
I mean, you could still do a Spider-Man movie where Kraven's the bad guy, and then you have the Kraven spin-off movie. You know,
that's
you
true.
Really get the use out of the character. You know,
yes.
And even have that take place after a possible Sinister Six or something, so we can fail twice.
Or you could have him in the Sinister Six.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So, like, you know, you have your Kraven villain movie, he fails. You know, you have him with the Sinister Six, they fail. And then finally in this Kraven spin-off movie, like he's able to finally figure this out and accomplish it. It's like you have those two failures. So you're building off of that and this character, and that'll allow people to possibly get attached and have some real depth to the character instead of, like, you know, people complain, oh, these Marvel villains are a little shallow. You know, I mean, it's not always the case, but I mean, that'll correct the problem real fast.
Yes. Or you can have Kraven, he's going out to kill Spider-Man. And he accidentally kills Chameleon, and he's changed as Spider-Man.
Oh, nice!
And then it just sets him off.
Wow!
Yeah,
that could be some crazy.
Wow! And that really
to read in general. Do you know what I mean, dude? Because that's never been done before, has it?
I was going to default to you. I was going to ask you that. Like, almost seems obvious now. Wow, that would be
a fun twist. Almost like a what if.
Why aren't I in the Marvel Studios office right now?
Exactly.
I have all these ideas.
Wow. Yeah.
Lance O'Neill. Right? Remember the name. That's awesome.
You start writing some comic books.
Yeah. That would be a great what if, too, if they can't even make a regular series where they twist the Kraven's Last Hunt into the fact of, like, he sees Spider-Man swinging by and it's Chameleon trying to get to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no.
Wow.
That would be awesome. Crazy.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. I appreciate you all taking the time to listen to us every week and liking, sharing, subscribing. If you can, leave a review on whatever platform that you're listening to. Like I always say, that helps us with different kinds of opportunities being featured on the different podcast platforms as a suggested podcast. Ken, a little Drawn to Comics.
Thanks you guys all for listening. It's like drawntocomics.com is the website. We are also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the brick and mortar location is open again in downtown Glendale at 5801 West Glendale Avenue. Appreciate you guys and your patience. Stay healthy out there, mask up, and make sure you take care of each other. It's a great world out there, and we want to make sure we keep it going for a long, long time.
Yes.
And you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram and on Twitch at Tales of Lance. I'm on there on Twitch streaming some games, hanging out, talking. And if you guys want to drop by, say hi, give your opinions on an episode, tell us, what you thought is your favorite, Marvel fight or DC comic fight or whatever comics that you read. Just come by and let us know.
And of course, Nightcap Chat is on Facebook and Twitter at Nightcap Chat and Instagram, Nightcap_chat. Thank you all for listening. We love you. Be safe, be smart, and we'll catch you all next week.
Have a good week.
Thank you.